Good morning, folks. In this video, I am going to cover a broad market. I'll look at SPY, E-mini futures. I'll take a look at triple Qs or the NASDAQ and IWM. What I'm trying to get is find out based on this week's particular trading and the move, what to expect in the next week and in coming days. So let's get started. What we are reading right now is ES E-mini 500, and um, this is where we close the week, which is around 33,746.25. If you see, this level is definitely a new low. So this week we made a low of, in the middle of the week we had a low of um, 3,768. For the good part of the week, we were trading above the um, above this level, but on Friday we actually opened higher and we came all the way back to 3,746, and then we traced we traded a good amount of the time above or around this level, and then in the last hour and a half, we again came back. um, Even though if you look at SPY, the market actually closed quite high, but after the market closed, the future sold off, or after 4 p.m. EST, the market sold off. So this is where we are. This is the current state of the market. But let's take a quick look to see what happened in this market, what was happening during this week of trading. Um, if you notice, um, we came down to this level a few times, and this you can say was acting as a good support for the rest of the week. There was a small dip below this level, but overall we can take this level as the support area that was established, and this level is 3,775. So we we spent a lot of time this week actually trading in this part of the area. If we can see very clearly that this area had been where most of the trading happened. There was a little bit trading above, and then there was a little bit trading below this area. But take this as a consolidation area. We spend a lot of time in between. This higher is 3,805, I think roughly five, and the low is 3,800. Let's take a look. The low here is um, 3,790. So in this 15-point range, we spend the good 3-4 days of part of the last week. So obviously, when we end up setting a balance area, or you can say this is a balance area, right, where we spend good amount of time balancing out previous move, this move here, um, this move here from here to here, we had a good thing, and this is a good thing, when market consolidates, when market tries to balance out the inventory or the price action. It's a good thing. So the best, so from here, obviously the market could either break out, and that would have been bullish, to continue the trend. We had an up run, we balanced out, and then we move out the upper end. But the other way could be that the market falls down, breaks below the balance area. If the market is getting tired, then and there are not enough buyers, obviously the market um, can drop down. So, and that is what we saw in the last day of the trading on Friday. That is what we saw. The market actually broke down from these key levels. So what do we expect now, right? Usually, um, a good way is of a box area is you can actually replicate the box. If the breakout is on the higher side, you can expect the market to um, break out and go try to test the higher end. If the market breaks down, you can expect the market to come and test the lower end. Now, obviously, these levels will depend on how you draw the box and um, how you as how you think that the consolidation area is. So I have drawn this one way. Let's draw the box in one more way where we take the extreme where we take the ranges little bigger just to see what makes sense. So what you could do is you could actually take uh, this whole thing as a box area, right? Because the price is where this is the high end of the box and this is the low end of the box, and now we can duplicate this area and we can go down. So um, so that can give you um, this area as another potential target going into next week. Since we broke below this support area, we can assume we can go down there. Um, but it's we don't know exactly where the market will go. We don't know exactly where the market will find support. All we're trying to do here is look for clues to see where there are potential areas of support and resistance, right? So that's one thing we can. But this is on hourly chart, right? Let's go on take a look at um, on the daily chart basis and see what's going on here and where we can find clues and areas of support. So, um, so obviously, think key things to watch going into next week is if SPY or markets try to test this area, we want to see how the prices react. Are they getting rejected? The market comes here and then sold off, or are they getting accepted here and then we can see if there is a potential move up. But that is what we have to watch. I would definitely be watching next week this little area to see if what market does if and when it comes and tests this range. Only if only and only if we break above 3775, I will be thinking about long positions. Otherwise, as long as we stay below 3775 and um, the lower range of or below this low of 3741, um, I am thinking that I'll be looking for positions to short and go negative, to sell the market, taking short positions. Um, the other thing to look at is what other things are happening here. So let me go ahead and put on the SMAs. Um, when what you're seeing here is uh, this is this is a 20 SMA on a closing basis on the daily bar, right? Um, we saw this has been acting good support in this in this move up in the last 2-3 months. Um, and on Friday we closed pretty much, we tagged the 20 SMA and we closed pretty close to it. um, I think we have tested this support quite a few times, right? And if we happen to break, um, I think we may come all the way to this SMA, which is 50. I do not know if this is going to act as support or not, but on an intraday basis, a test of this level um, should definitely provide some support. Given that we have some prior support around 3,650, I think we come and test this 3,650, and there's a potential. This would be a potential area where markets can find support. Um, so I'll be watching this area carefully to see if market comes to these levels, does it find support or not? But um, you can see in the past when we were trading around this 3,650, we have some good levels here. So starting from 3,650, going all the way back to um, 3,620, 25, 28, there may be some area of support here. Obviously, there are these wicked moves down that was an overnight move that happened and then market reversed, that is around 3600. So if we start falling below 3650, I'll look for 3625 to 28 and then ultimately around 3600. Typically, the round number 3600 may not be a good idea, but if we get all the way to here, uh, this trend line, and I'll show you. This is all the way from March lows. Um, this trend line should come around these lows, which is um, 3000. This is 3588, pretty close to that low. So you see, right? If once we start falling below the 3746 or 27 SMA, we have a possibility of coming all the way to these lows of 3700 50 3700 let me take a look again, all the way back to 3700 648 area, 3648 area. So I think those are the levels that I will watch. Basically, on the way down, um, I'm not looking for anything here. If we take a short position, if we start going down, my first area of support will be 3650, which is pretty much close to 90 points from here, 90 points from where we closed on the market. So keep an eye on these numbers, and as we start going down, um, every 20, 25 points, we have some decent amount of the support. Obviously, if we start cracking below 3650, I will look for the trend line to be the area of support. Now, this trend line, um, in order to make things a little clearer, let me take this out. So this trend line is all the way from the March lows, and then we have this low in and presidential election low. So and then will this will be another touch here. So I'll keep an eye on these numbers. It should continue to act as support and should bounce from 20 SMA. But um, you may be right. We may get a bounce from here, since as we have done in the past, right? Every time we touch 20 SMA, we have been bouncing. So the answer, in my opinion, to this question lies in other indexes. We need to take a look at the other indexes to see what are they doing. And in that way, when we move on to NQs, the first thing you would notice is NQs have broken their 20 SMA very decisively, right? Like they have gone way beyond the 20 SMA and they have closed, a decent points below the 20 SMA. In past, every time we went below the 20 SMA, we managed to close above it, right? So that's what kept the bullish bias about this move and about this market. But the close here on Friday was way below the 20 SMA, and that makes things a little more interesting and towards the downside. Um, and we also, if you look more closely, you would notice that NQs also closed below their previous lows. This was the low that was made on during this week, and we actually closed below that low. So we have these couple of uh, you know uh, breakdowns that are giving indications that um, we may be breaking down. We may be, on a short-term basis, the prices may be going down, right? So now let's take a look. So now let's say if we start breaking, obvious these levels become the level of interest, and this also ties up with this rising 50 SMA. So on NQs, um, I'll be watching for the 3450 area as the area of support. And if this lines up with 3600 on 650 on ES, together they can give a support to the market and can be an area of interest for a bounce. Now, obviously, if um, this area is also of interest because 3000 was also the previous high, right? This is the high that we broke out uh, we broke out from here and we found support at least a couple of times in the past. So coming back and testing this area should give a boost. But at that point, we'll discuss to see how the market moves. Right now, if you if you observe if you observe the market has already put in a lower high, and um, I do not know. Only time will tell if actually if this was the top and this is the lower high. At least for a short-term basis, I'll keep an eye on this trend line, and we have a similar trend line on ES or SPY too. So if there is any bounce, the first resistance will come around 12,760, which is this low, and 70, which is this low, and then I will be keeping an eye on this downtrend line to see how prices react in that area. But there is possibility that we could just trade between these between 12,450 and 12,700, 800, whatever these downtrend line is for the next several weeks before the market takes a direction either towards the upside or the downside. But I'll be keeping an eye on how we are trading between this range, and and uh, the market has been rising up for last several years. We have seen in these were so this is a 5-year chart on a daily chart. We have seen that these were the lows, and now last 2 years between 2018 and 18 and 19, the lows was put a little bit more higher. You know and this year, what we're seeing is since the March lows, since the sell-off in the March, the VIX has put yet another higher lows, right? We couldn't breach below 20, and we are on the verge of breaking this downtrend line, and you can see every time we broke this downtrend line, there was this massive spike into the VIX. Basically, another sell-off happens, um, and I'm actually going to go change this chart to a little bit more longer time frame. Go to 10 years, and actually I'll go to max available, and you and I'll change it to a weekly time frame so um, we can get a little better view. So here is it, right? So what we end up doing is um, we put in a base, right? And and then we get a spike, we get a sell off. We put this downtrend line, we put another base, and then we get another sell off. Then we base around, and then we make this bigger one, we get another sell off. So similarly, you can see that um, we have been selling off, and 50 used to be the high for several for most of the last 10 years part, except for this and this. But you see how we are basing, the volatility is basing high. I think if there is another sell off, we may see the $90 area, what earlier used to be 50, as an area of support, or the max where the volatility went. We might start seeing 90, in and around 80 and 90, 85 and 90 as another area. So keep an eye on VIX, and uh, keep an eye, use these as protections, as we getting closer, you start seeing a breakout on these lines. We close pretty close to the high of pretty close to the resistance. So going into next week, if VIX starts trading higher than 25, 26, there might be a good sell-off, and and you have seen in past that whenever there is a sell-off, the market sells off pretty fast. The sell-off is pretty fast. So so that's about NQs. That's the areas to watch. The last thing I will go over is um, the RTY or the E-mini, the small caps, or the Russell 2000 index. The Russell 2000 index is is on fire, right? This has been in a steady uptrend, and there are there is not um, um, the Russell 2000 is looking more better, solid than the other compare indexes. Obviously, on Friday we put a dark cloud cover. Basically, Friday's trading took over everything that we gained on Thursday. Now, this could be a short-term reversal sign, so if we start trading below this 2100, there's a potential that we could come to 2050 area, and if and or we tag this trend line. But overall, the trend is still intact. We are above these lines. So if you're if you're a long trader, and you only know, you only are looking to buy things, uh, IWM and things in and stocks that are part of the IWM might an eye that if you enter here, what part of the evening are you in? This whole thing has been running for almost all 2.5 month. So if you get in, if you're getting into a party, are are you early? Are you in the middle of a party, or you joined in at the time when the party is about to get over? So I think you are pretty, in my opinion, um, going forward. If we get another touch going into next week or so, I would start considering that, hey, you are pretty close to the end of the party. So keep that in mind, and based on that, you can trade on stocks that are part of RDY. Um, Again, to summarize, I'm not from a longer term perspective. I think the trend is still intact. This the my views about stocks, you know, sh- going down or looking for a lower prices, it's on a shorter time frame, which is like, in another week or two, you may see some of this movement, or maybe set changing the trend, and rather than going from a longer term, sorry, bullish trend for almost all a year, maybe they are probably trying to base out and consolidate in these areas here. um, but overall, the long term trend on all the indexes, they are good, solid upside, they are above their trend line. So on IWM, this is a weekly chart, and you can take a look to see that these were the March lows. We had good support areas on this trend line, and right now there is a big room here. So we could be consolidating. We could come all the way to 1900, 2000, touch this trend line, and we would still be in a bullish trend. The trend won't have changed. Overall, the larger time frame trend wouldn't have changed. Uh, but and but that is all about indexes, the market. Keep an eye, keep careful. Looks like there might be some shake off going into next week, and the earnings are starting next week too. So that is all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in another one. Bye.